In this video, we're going to talk about getting your home ready to inspect. And I'm not talking about the fancy things that you'll do to your house, the remodeling the bathrooms, the kitchen, maybe doing some staging. That's not what this video is about. It's about getting the home ready to inspect. And it's pretty important that you allow the inspector to have access to the things that he needs to inspect. It'll build confidence in the buyer, and the inspector will be able to see what he needs to see, record it on the report, and everything should move forward smoothly, as opposed to having a lot of things in the way and not being able to access them, and possibly requiring a callback or a return trip with the inspector. So nobody wants that. We run into that situation quite often. So anyway, we're going to go through 7 areas or components of the home that are oftentimes not accessible for inspection. So we'll go through them here real quickly, and then we'll recap. And at the end, I've got one other issue that you may not have thought about, but we'll discuss it too. Number 7, oftentimes the attic is blocked. Attic access is blocked by stored items, shelving, etc. And if the access is blocked, the inspector just can't get in there. And there's a lot of things up in the attic that need to be inspected. Also, if the attic access happens to be in a clothes closet, you may consider moving the clothing away from that area. Most inspectors will have a drop cloth, but oftentimes when they open up the hatch, a lot of insulation will fall out, and some of it could get on your clothing. So number 6, the crawl space access is blocked oftentimes, and that's another area just like the attic that needs to be inspected during a normal inspection. You want to make sure that that area is clear, that the inspector can get in there without having to move any stored items. And that's one thing inspectors don't do. We don't move stored items. Once he gets inside the crawl space, it's great if there's not a bunch of old construction materials or old water heaters or furnaces. I mean, sometimes we find those and it makes it dangerous. It's not always possible to get those out of there in time for the inspection, but just kind of giving you some heads up. That's one of those things that we can run into occasionally, and we want to make sure that we're able to inspect that area. Oftentimes the furnace is in the crawl space, the water heater also, so we definitely need to be able to get into that area. Number 5 is electrical panels. There are oftentimes electrical panels that are blocked by shelving or blocked by equipment or things like that. Sometimes that main panel has a padlock on it if it's located outside, and you need to leave behind either the combination to that lock or the key. We can cut those off, but we won't do it without your permission. So it's better off if you just leave the key behind, leave it on the kitchen counter, or leave the combination there also, so that the inspector will have access to the panel. Okay, number 4 is the main water shutoff. And the main water shutoff is another one of those components of the home that's very important for the inspector to take a look at and identify. I normally take a picture of the water shutoff and also put that in the report with the location. So make sure that that area is not blocked. I mean, sometimes it's somewhat hidden behind stored items, or sometimes it's up in a ceiling. Most times it's down low or in a crawl space. But again, that needs to be accessible so the inspector can take a look at that. Number 3 goes along with water also, and that's the sewer cleanouts. I'm one of those inspectors that does sewer scopes. We do sewer video inspections for our clients, and we need to have access to a sewer cleanout. Most often they're either going to be in a crawl space or in the basement. Oftentimes they can be out in the yard if it's a newer home, or if the sewer line has been replaced. There may be a clean out in the yard, either the front yard or the backyard, depending on which way the sewer line runs. So we want to make sure that that's not hidden. If it's in an unusual area, it's nice if you leave behind a little note for the inspector, letting them know where the sewer clean out is located. Number 2 is the furnace water heater. Touched on those just a second ago, talking about crawl spaces, but you're supposed to have at least 30 inches of clear space in front of those appliances, the water heater and the furnace, so that the inspector can remove panels, look inside, make sure that the filter is clean, and so on. So make sure that if the furnace and water heater are in an enclosure or a closet, that there's not a lot of stored items in there that would be blocking access to those appliances. Number one is under the kitchen sink or bathroom vanity sinks. Boy, I'll tell you, sometimes there's a lot of items in those areas, and we understand that. You know, that's what those cabinets are for, is to store items. But it's great if the items aren't stacked so high that we can't see the drain and the shutoff valves. That's another important area that we need to look at during the course of an inspection. Okay, so I told you at the end I had another item that I wanted to talk about that can cause a problem during a home inspection, and that's pets. A lot of you have dogs and cats and so on, and sometimes we'll arrive on scene at the home, and there'll be a note: please don't let the cat out, or please be aware that there's a dog in the house, but he's friendly. Well, we like pets, but oftentimes they don't like us. We're a stranger. They don't like us invading their space. And if at all possible, it's best if you just take them with you or leave them with a neighbor or something like that. We've got our hands full going in and out of the house, carrying ladders and a sewer scope and whatnot. And boy, it's really tough to make sure that an animal doesn't escape. And we just would never want that to happen. So pet sitting is something that we don't often do very well. And you're better off taking care of that before the inspection if possible. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. I hope that you kind of get an idea of what the inspector is going to be looking at and the areas that he needs to access. So if you can just spend half a day or whatever it takes, maybe not even that long, just to take care of those areas and make sure they're accessible and cleaned out, sure make things go smoother. Well, that's what you need to know about getting your home ready for the home inspection.